I mean, every time I go up on that stage, I feel like more confident in my writing and more confident in my performance. And I mean, sometimes it's just like little lines that'll stick out to me too. Sam has this poem, and it's like I'm creating a divine chorus or something, and talking about like the sound of holiness. And there was a line about holiness that like stuck with me, and I was like, ugh! And then I wrote an entire poem about like my feelings about holiness and being gay. And so sometimes it's just like that, and it's also, like I said, just like the inspiration of being in a community. Oh yeah, definitely, because you're getting such a better sense of what poets are doing, because like you can write and you can like send your work to people and talk about your work and go to a creative writing workshop, but it's not the same as hearing what people are doing in the world. Go to a slam, go to open mic nights, even if you're too nervous to go up yourself. Listen to other poets, like make friends with other poets, just like absorb the vibes, and then eventually like you will be strong enough, you will be brave enough to go on that stage and speak your words. And even if like the first time you stumble or you forget it or you like drop your papers, everyone loves you and wants to support you and wants you to succeed and better yourself as an artist. So go to slam. Just go to slam.
Way back in high school, I had a really good high school teacher. Her name was Miss Cosgrave at Catholic Central, and I just really, actually, the first poet I really ever read was Leonard Cohen, and then Henry Rollins. Don't ask me how that happens. And then I just kind of started writing, just really dug it. It took me a couple years to get back into it. Went off to grad school as a fiction writer, because Lord knows my family would not accept me as a professional poet. And poetry just came naturally. This is something when I woke up in the morning I had to do. Single biggest influence is probably Richard Hugo. He's a Montana poet. He's passed away. He died in about the mid-'80s of cancer. But his work is really work that's rooted in the land around Montana. It's very sort of working class, very stories of the people, stories of the place. It was that sort of first step into it. And then later on I came to know writers like Simon Ortiz, who explored his culture, which is another First Nation culture. And I really found a lot of sort of touchstones with him. And Sherman Alexie, who I don't do a very good job because he's a lot funnier than I am, but I found a lot in his First Indian on the Mood collection that I really, really dug. I think first of all, let's start. Being a writer is a very lonely enterprise. So you're usually sitting in your room and all you ever see is rejection. For every 100 things you send out, you get 2 back that say, you know, you're doing a pretty good job. So when you go to a room full of people that are not only there to cheer you on like they were here tonight, but are here to write and share their work, you see that it's a community. So it strengthens you. It gives you more resolve to go back out there and do the thing that you need to do. As a publisher, it's important for me because I see that there's a working face to what goes on in the industry. And as a writer, it's like a kindred spirit. You know there's other people out there that are struggling as hard as you are to do the right thing, to write the thing that they need to write. So it's very cathartic. That's a good word for it. Absolutely. I think it's one of the most important things they can do. I mean, outside of reading, we all get that reading's important. But this is where poetry starts. We can go back 2,000, 3,000 years. Poetry wasn't written down. Poetry was performed. It was the way in which we shared our cultures. This is not just First Nations. This is Scandinavian. This is Old English. This is everything. We shared our cultures through poetry. So to be in a room full of people, because poetry is, and always has to be fundamentally about people, to be in a room full of people that feel the same way about writing that you do is so important. It gives you the drive to move on. It also gives you the sense of what people like. Because you can do I've read a lot of bad poetry, people who don't do this, who don't go out into the social world and see what goes on. So I think this is one of the most important steps you can take. First of all, never forget your passion. That's really important. Because there's going to be times in your life it's going to be hard to write. You always have to write. Know that writing is a process. What you put down is not gospel. It takes time. But also know that you have to read, you have to communicate, be part of a community. Because only when you're part of that community can you move forward not only as a writer, but as a person. And I think that's the most important. To know that you're a person in this big web that goes back generations and will go forward generations. To know that you need to be part of that.
Writing poetry for a very long time, and I didn't know that I wanted to do this. I heard about it and a few poets that I had seen on YouTube that were sent to me by friends that were slam poetry. And I always believe that when you get that nudge that says, oh my God, I totally want to do that. I can do that. I totally want to do that. And so I just started looking around and I found that there was a slam team in Windsor. And so I showed up, and the first night I didn't participate, but I played with the idea of it, and then I just started channel poetry, started writing. It would be probably coming from a higher consciousness. I'm an automatic writer, spoken word poet, so nothing really inspires. I shouldn't say nothing inspires. Sometimes I'm inspired by a sentence. Sometimes I'm inspired by something I see, but it starts out with something I hear. So I hear a sentence, and then I write down the sentence, and it just flows from that point on, and then it just evolves. I think just really trusting in your own work, believing in your own gift and your own voice, and not placing it on some kind of judgment scale or trying to fit into somebody else's idea of what you think it should look like. It should just be unique to the person that's creating the work.